NSFW, what unexpectedly turned you on? I was in Japan and had a crush on a woman from South France. Returned to the US, in line for fast food. And I hear a woman behind me speaking with a southern French accent. Popped a boner in line for a slice of pizza. When I was a kid, I saw Mona Lisa from my /Zazero Gamma /Zazero school art book. The first time I saw her, with hands on her knee. How do I say this? I had a boner. Yoshikage wants to know your location. A pre-med student explaining to me the anatomy of the nasal kanchi while touching my face. The first time I used a riding lawnmower when I was like 12. All the vibrating gave me a raging hard-on. To this day, whenever I use one to mow I get at least half a stock. Why would anyone do drugs when you could just mow a lawn, Hank Hill? My, at the time fiance, was in school to be an engineer. Meanwhile, I was struggling to get through algebra. She sat down with me and began to explain the logic behind the equations I was using. The more she talked, the wetter I became. Finally, I couldn't ignore my primal instinct any longer, and I had her right there on the kitchen table. It ended up happening almost every time she tried to talk math to me from then on. Smart girls equals instant moist. Coming down off a DMT trip, and there is no easy way to say this. I masturbated thinking about my bedroom door. You know what they say, whenever one door opens someone comes through it. When it comes to that woman, you're feeling anything she does is such a turn on. Just me personally, but man, women are just ducking great all around. Brief eye contact with my tattoo artist while he was tattooing me. Added a word to clarify. Also, I didn't think this needed to be said, but obviously the needle wasn't touching my skin at that moment. Lol, no worries y'all. All the tattoos he's done for me have been great. I would be nervous that he wasn't looking at the tattoo. Well, the needle wasn't touching me at that very second. Lol. He asked me a question and looked up at me, and we locked eyes for just a second too long, and IDK. It was intense. Once my BF and I were cooking dinner together, and halfway through it was ruined because he hadn't kept his eye on the hot pan. It was one of the first times he had tried to cook something somewhat fancy for me. Plus it was late, and we were both hungry and tired. Normally he's very kind and gentle, but he got super frustrated and slammed his hand against the wall, swearing. It was startling, and at first, I was a bit scared, then I got super turned on by it. It was an erotic display of power. A girl I was friends with had apparently been giving me hints for a while that I hadn't been picking up on. One time we are hanging out, and she goes to take a pee. She yells at me from the bathroom to come here. I walk up to the door and ask her what she needs. With no hesitation she says, "Come in here. I want you to watch me pee." Unexpected turn on for some reason. Well, did you? Indeed I did. She was gorgeous. Also had lots of mental issues though, so we didn't last long together. Bite my earlobe. It was great until my cat apparently figured it out, and now it's how she wakes me up. Cats have selective IQ. Older women who give off dumb mommy vibes. Once had an older woman with that short silver fox haircut and a stronger jaw call me a good girl while I was at work because I did something right with her order that nobody else could for some reason. I'm a relatively straight female. Or am I? Well, duck. IDK. I wouldn't consider myself submissive, but if an older woman exerts any type of dominance or power, I will immediately get a ladabana. When I was at the airport and had like 20k knock in cash and wanted to exchange it to euro. Took me a long time to count, but this bank woman at the airport just took my money and did some magic with her fingers that went so fast I couldn't believe it, and she knew within seconds how much money I gave her. But more than that, the whole way she acted with the whole transaction was so unbelievable professional. I have never experienced anything like that level of professionalism in my entire life. How could I not be turned on by the most pro woman I have ever seen? Deft fingers also do it for me. Happy cake day. I accidentally Pavloved myself. There used to be this porn I watched with two chicks in it that had no audio other than music by Disturbed. Years later Disturbed came on the radio. I instantly got turned on. Was so confused for like 10 seconds. Edit. 7 years. 100,000 plus total karma. And this is my top comment. Great. ORRRR. Edit. The correct number of R's. You walk out like a cum-stained hurricane. The flatbread at Subway suddenly seemed very sensual and seemed to have a skin-like texture. It quickly passed and was replaced with WTF. Hey. A lot of people have a subkink. Admittedly, a tad different from yours usually. The fact that the guy I likes to be insulted. You like that? You ducking retard. Old but gold. What can I say? Late to the party, but whatever. Being in my tent. Like. I don't even know. When I'm camping, and I retire to my tent. Slip into my sleeping bag, and zip up the little tent door. I have no idea, but apparently that really does it for me. What a strangely pure fetish lol. Only pure until he starts furiously beating it, and his tent neighbors hear the grunting. That scene in Golden where Xenia on a top squeezes that guy to death awoke something in me at a very young age. She always did like a good squeeze. She was always on a top of things. This guy I was seeing called customer service to get a company error corrected. He used the softest, firmest, most understanding tone I've ever heard, and I lost my damn mind. My friend will look me in the eye when I'm talking to him and like raise his eyebrows and shit to show he's listening, and goddamn is it hot. Maybe it's a female stereotype, but good listeners are hot LMFAO. I get it. I have a friend who does the same, and it's incredible to feel like you're the most important person in the world to them, even if just for a moment. One day at work we had a day when we needed to dress business smart. Usually we dress very casually, and my coworker, who usually dresses in baggy shirts and jeans, wore a full-fitted suit, and oh man, every girl's crazy about a sharp dress man ZZ top. When I was a freshman in college, an English boy in one of my classes said the phrase war of attrition with his English accent, and I had to go take a breather. Shame that there's a lot of British accents that makes us sound like we are having a stroke. Edit. Thank you for my first gold, stranger. IDK, there's probably someone that's turned on by that. Ripper Street had this bad guy that had this super rough English accent, and it turns me on. For reference, it's the bad guy played by the actor who plays Rudy on Misfits. Rudy's accent on Misfits also makes me a happy lady. My fiance makes this sound when he's turned on by something I'm doing, or that he's looking at on me, but it can be a problem sometimes because he sometimes uses the same sound when he sees like an ad for food that looks really good. Is it the deep growl thing in his throat/chest? It's the Tim Allen grunt. Scaring people at my haunted house job. Boo 100. This is probably the funniest comment I've ever read. Thank you. When I worked in a pharmacy as a stoker, once I spilled some of that guy warming lube on myself as a bottle had cracked open in transit, and like, why did I get turned on? It's unexplainable, but it happened. I bought some after I clocked out. Was in bed with my girlfriend and the remote was at the end of the bed. I sit up and basically lazily reach for it on all fours. I'm in some boxer briefs that have a pouch like thing for your junk, so when I bent over, my ball bulge was pretty much in her face. She just playfully punched me in the balls and it hurt and stung, but I almost instantly got hard. I'm now laying on my back holding my balls in protection. She can see the outline of my obvious boner though and starts laughing confusedly. She volunteered to blow me as an apology, and since I was already hard, I asked her to tap my balls a little throughout, and I nutted harder than ever. Basically now all of our foreplay commences with light ball busting. Cock and ball torture. I'm not a fan of anything aggressive, and honestly after months of doing this, don't see myself doing anything more than the slaps/punches and squeezes we do. I had her kick me once, and she didn't really know how much harder a soft kick is than a soft slap. Needless to say, the pain shot through my balls and into my soul. Never again. My favorite is when we are lying on the couch or I'm just getting out of the shower and she grabs me by the balls and erects me into the bedroom. Also long distance cum shots with slaps during climax. First off, I'm a guy. So my high school had a dark room for a black and white film photography program. I was the only boy in the course. There were about 10 to 15 girls in the class. I was pretty good, and by my junior year, I had been involved in the program longer than any other student. Having so much experience led to me being a good place to go for advice on printing their photos. I would go to their station to figure things out, and the same 3 friends of mine that were girls in that class would come up behind me and rest their chin on my right shoulder, and that would always wake me up. I never expected something like that to send goosebumps up and down my body and warrant a reaction downstairs. But it happened, and I took it in stride from then on. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.